Assalamualaikum, Mohammed. First of all, thank you for inviting me to your show. I've been an avid watcher of your videos on YouTube and obviously follow you on LinkedIn and all the posts that you put on there. And you're doing some excellent work, especially with the guidance that you provide with new and upcoming engineers, and a lot of encouragement that you provide on those videos. Those are very we when we were growing up or when we were going through that process cycle, that guidance was not available. So it makes a huge difference for students in today's world who have access and that a significant amount of access just by on their phones watching YouTube videos, and they can connect with the right industry professionals who are giving them guidance, which was very difficult in our days. So
Yeah,
first of all, thank you for what you do,
thank you, thank you.
and we'll start the conversation from there.
Yes, actually, what brought me to come up with this idea, Rafi, thank you very much for encouraging me because this is again motivating to hear from professionals like you. So I struggle a lot when I started automation career. As you know, like information is very hidden. Like people are hiding the information, not sharing as like other professionals do. So in automation sector, it's
Yeah.
not very hard to learn the things, but to get that information, it was very hard
Mhm.
for me also, and that was one of the reason to give it a start. Like, okay, when I will know information required, I will definitely gonna share that information to each and every individual. So that's the
Yeah.
motivation to start up this channel, and that's why I'm going on. And professionals like you, I would be very happy to bring them in this network and talk about industry trends so that students who are actually learning through this channel can get a benefit out of it. So like,
Yeah.
and I'm really honored to have you today in the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
You're a professional, you have a very, very good profile, you have executed many projects, and you're working as a VP in, you know, in one of the top organizations here in Pakistan. So I want to hear from you. As I'm telling, you know, I'm in my session, I'm focusing many time like these are the trends, but to hear from professional like you, it would be some sort of a stamp like to students, like
Time for-
that's the way that they have to go for. Like when we talk about industry trends like PLC, DCS, SCADA, and HMI, what are what are the top vendors in there? Like if someone want to start, where he can start, and what is the future of that?
Well, I'll start with the vision. When I was pursuing my master's degree, one of my professors, and Paul Ranke was his name. I don't remember all my professors' name from my master's degree, but that gentleman's name I remember. And he was a total quality management professor and not an automation professor, by the way. So he said one thing that stuck with me. You know, all the class, I don't remember most of the class, to be honest with you. The single thing I remember is back then, that was, I think, 2009 or 2008 or 2009, sometime around that.
Yeah.
He said in class, and his words were, you know, a day is coming soon when every light bulb is going to have an IP address,
Got you.
and that stuck with me. And every you know, having that connectivity, and back then, you know, I was skeptical, to be absolutely honest. But now today, you know, after what, 12 years later, from 2008 to now 2020, I have, you know, smart light bulbs in my kitchen, which I tell Alexa, turn on kitchen, and the light bulbs, which even in an
Absolutely.
old home, you just replace the light bulb. Sorry about that.
So when we
Yeah, so
talk about
it's listening
Alexa,
at the background. so
it's
so so
awesome.
the lights turn on, and
Yeah,
that's what the world is coming to.
yeah,
And that's where the home automation market has come to,
yeah,
and that's where we're imagining that the factory automation or the industrial market space is also going to go to.
yeah.
Every machine now has a PLC, and because it has a PLC, it has an IP address. It might have multiple IP addresses because it has VFDs. It's got all the other cool things, the HMIs, the VFDs, and some other controllers that it might have. So the IP addresses are already there in machines.
Yeah.
What we see next is those machines coming online, either being connected to an industry or in a plant-wide network, or then being connected to the cloud. Um,
Yeah.
there is wherein lies the security problem that we were discussing. So, uh, considering if there's some students watching, let's break it down for them a bit. Um, right now, as most students know, there's PLCs inside the machines. The PLCs are have there's also VFDs and HMIs. All of these might be connected through traditional approaches, which was serial, RS485 or Modbus serial or Profibus or a DH plus, whatever, depending on which machinery or which OEM that you're using, Allen Bradley, Siemens, or some others. But now what you've seen is a conversion or the changeover where the PLC to HMI communication is either taking place over Ethernet IP or Profinet or Modbus TCP, or in some special cases, EtherCAT, which is the Beckhoff's product.
Yeah.
To the students who are listening, if you don't understand those terms, make an effort to Google all of those,
Yeah.
and you'll learn quite a bit.
And I'm here.
I had to Google them, to be honest. I had to Google a few when I heard them the first time.
I'm here to actually kind of help them. Like, that's my mission. So I will be talking about that if they want to know that. So I would be happy to talk about that.
Right.
So, yeah.
So that's where industry is headed, is basically having all of the machines on a plant-wide network, and that plant or individual machines. So plant-wide network, and then from the plant-wide network connected to the cloud.
Yeah.
Security-wise, obviously, all of those things are already working and can be secured to multiple security levels.
Yeah.
And most production plants, when I have the security discussion with most people, it's always that, nobody wants to know how many widgets you made. If it's for example, if it's a chicken processing facility, that's packing chicken meat. Nobody really wants to know how many chickens they packed today, unless and until they've got a very, very, competitive competitor that just really wants to hack in and get that information about how many chickens they packed today. That information, you should have security. I'm not saying no security is the thing, but some security, but you also need to get the benefit of all of that analysis.
Yeah.
Once you take all of that information, the production information from your machine to the cloud, you can do a lot of amazing things with that information, correct?
Yeah,
so you're
right.
not just watching, so you're logging all of that information. You've got the speeds of the machine, the production of the machine, the number of times the machine stopped, why the machine stopped,
and when it's going to
what
stop.
you did to kind of fix the machine.
Yeah.
And then you do the predictions based on what conditions did the machine stop. And that's where the artificial intelligence, the machine learning, you cannot build machine learning or artificial intelligence on the plant floor level. That is always going to be there on Azure or Amazon's AWS service or IBM or even now Alibaba Cloud, which I'm trying to get my hands around it. I'm still an AWS person.
Okay, that's great. So, as well as like when you talk about automation and cybersecurity, so I just want to add, if we have a plants like for example, cement plant, and we have some sort of a chemical plant, and if we are having a power plant and we want to get a data to the cloud, and in all cases, it's not essential to have OT cybersecurity implemented, but in some cases, like for example, you have a boiler operation. If somebody get a hold of your boiler, he can do wonders to your plant. And it happened to Aramco, it happened to a few other companies in the world. So the trend in OT cybersecurity, when we talk about implementation of IIoT, when we talk about Industry 4.0, so I believe like with the passage of time, people are now looking into the OT cybersecurity domain. They started looking into that. Oh yes, this is also one of the things we have to take care of it, because IT security is a different ball game and OT cybersecurity is a different ball game. And I see there is a huge skill gap when we talk about artificial intelligence, data science, machine learning. When we talk about getting the data, like connectivity part of it, IIoT. And definitely AWS, Azure. So these are the things, like if someone is into it, like he will have a greater chance to get in a good job in automation sector. So you're right on that. You're like right on the point. So like if someone want to, what's your opinion? Like if someone is a fresher and you want to give it a start, from where he can like start? Like there are people I'm getting every day, you know, messages on LinkedIn. People saying that, oh man, we want to learn, but they are trying to learn everything in a one day. That's not possible. So what's your message for that? So, yeah.
Look, one of my first boss, and I was very lucky in my life, and it's one of the greatest favors of God on me, is I had a very good first boss. So find, if you can, if you have a choice in the matter, I mean, obviously your first boss determines the trajectory of your career. That's my belief, or at least that's my personal experience. And he said to me something that has stuck with me, and that's what I give as an advice to other people when it comes to it. He said to me, and his name was his name is Vincent DeGangi. He runs a company called Connell Industries based out of West Caldwell in New Jersey. And he said, choose your poison and stick with it. And those words are, you know, choose your poison and stick with it. So choose a particular thing that you want to be, and whatever that it may be. Don't let other people tell you what that might be. Pick it and then follow it till kingdom come, right? So follow that process. So you know, if you want to be an Allen Bradley expert, pick up Allen Bradley and just learn everything there is about an Allen Bradley's. Learn about Allen Bradley drives, learn about Allen Bradley protocols, learn everything there is to learn about Allen Bradley. If you want to be let's say a Siemens expert, pick up Siemens and know each and everything there is to know about Siemens. Now that could be Siemens drives, Siemens motion control, then Siemens PLCs. Just pick that and then follow it and learn everything there is to learn about it. If you want to be an expert in some, but pick one thing and be an expert with it. And I don't, look, I'm saying that trajectory has worked for me. It might not work for others, or it might, you know, that is a luxury that everybody might not have. But you see that, and the way that, the reason that approach is what I recommend is because, you know, when you're going into a facility, let's say my experience is mostly discrete manufacturing. So mostly in a particular factory, you'll have either all Allen Bradleys or you'll have all Siemens. Sometimes you'll end up in a factory where it'll be all Mitsubishis. And then there's going to be oddballs like in Pakistan's textile industry where you have a Siemens, you've got a Mitsubishi, you've got an Allen Bradley, you've got a whole lot of other, some Opto 22, you've got BNR, and a whole mix in one location.
Gotcha.
So that's one thing that again, that depends on what your career trajectory ends up being. But my recommendation is whatever you choose it on your own, but try and be an expert in that particular tool, product, or skill set.
Okay, thanks. There was a question that I got many times from students, like, because I haven't started actually. I'm into Industry 4.0 and industrial digitalization for almost 3 years. Worked with GE Digital for almost 3 years, but I haven't talk about Industry 4.0 in this channel yet. But I want to hear from you, like those who want to know, like, what is Industry 4.0 and what are the benefit industry will get through it. Like there are many students who want to know that.
Well, Industry 4.0 is basically, look, everybody has their own definition of Industry 4.0, as you may already know. But for me, the definition of Industry 4.0 is everything on the plant floor available on my cell phone. So all my boilers, what it's running at right now, what its production was, I should have access to it on my phone. What my production machines are doing right now, I should be able to see it on my phone right now without having to call someone and find out, or somebody, you know, going to my computer. No, it's on my phone. I click I tap my phone four times, 5 times, and I should have all that information on my screen. Because that's the way the world is running right now. You want a video, you go to YouTube, you type in. You want to watch a TV series, you go on your phone, you watch on Netflix. You want to Google something, it's there. So why can't, so you'll go into factories where, like, you and I are sitting in rooms the machine will be right behind that particular wall, right behind them, like 15, 20 feet away, and they won't know what the speed the machine is running at. They'll have to send somebody or call somebody to find out what the machine is doing right now. That approach, where you can see a cricket match live from Australia on your phone, but you can't know what that machine behind you 15 feet away is doing, that is that is not on. That is not the way industry is going to run. And that is not the way industry is going to survive. Any industry that thinks, especially in the post-COVID era, that they're going to survive by not knowing what's happening right now, making decisions. So people are making decisions on yesterday's information. You do not go out. So if you're looking at weather for information, so it rained yesterday and you wear a raincoat and go outside and it's sunny outside, you look like a fool, right? So it's the same thing with machinery and data. So you need to be able to make decisions on what's happening right now. You don't make a decision on yesterday's production info. And that's when I go for Industry 4.0, that's what it means, having all the information in real time in your pocket or on your phone. But now there's a cool thing. Now with Alexa and the other things that are there, you can just ask your Google device how your machine's doing. You can ask your Amazon device how your machine's doing. You can, well, Siri hasn't allowed that kind of capability yet, but eventually you'll be able to ask Siri, okay, how's my machine doing? And it'll reply, okay, you know what, this is the speed right now. That's how it performed yesterday. And this is the amount of production we're hopefully going to get today by the end of the production day today. You don't want to go or ask somebody or call somebody for that information or ask somebody to, make an Excel sheet, put it in. So right now what happens is people go to the machine, write it down on a piece of paper. Then there's a computer operator somewhere that inputs all of that information either into SAP or Oracle or, God forbid, an Excel sheet, and then has a PDF converted and then emails it out to everybody. And it's like, that's Stone Age. So
and this is still happening, by the way.
And it's happening. And the problem is, the irony is the people don't want to change. So if I spend right now, let's say if I'm living in Karachi and most people I use Careem quite a bit. So as soon as I get off my car, off a ride, I get an SMS on my phone that, okay, this is what the ride cost. This is the amount of money you paid the guy. And this is the amount. Especially with with credit card purchases, you pay the money. And this was 12 years ago, 15 years ago. You paid with your credit card and you had an SMS on your phone that, hey, this is the amount of money you charge. But again, with the production environment, we're not doing that.
I'm doing this industrial digitalization for almost 3.5 years. So I come with many customers, but it's based on the regions. We have a different kind of customers. Few customers normally think like if they get information out of their factory environment, every flaw would be open, and it's like we are auditors and we are going to share that information to their top management, and they would be on hot water. Like even in cybersecurity, people are scared to even share their firewall details because they think if we open it up, we would be able to get into that. Oh man, you are not doing this rightly. And that can be a big sort of challenge for them, or it's going to be very difficult for them to defend. Miserably failed.
That is human nature. See, we are programmers, and to be honest, it's way easier to program a machine than to program a human being. The human beings are programmed to be fearful. And there's you'll find, the problem is with our kind of work, you need the whole supply chain on your side. So you need the whole, I wouldn't say supply chain, but you need the whole chain. So you need the senior management on board, and then you need your middle level management on board, and then you need the junior level management on board. So all of those three need to be on board. Even one of them is resistant to change, you can't do our work. So this cannot be deployed in an organization that has even, I would say, let's say 30% of opposition, this won't be done. So if 70% of the people are with you and want to get this done and 30% don't, you can't get this done, this kind of deployment. All 100% or have to be on board, or the senior management has to get them on board. May it be whatever approach they want to take, they need to take. but that needs to be there.
Thanks to COVID, actually, the situation now, Raf, is quite changed. Like the people who are very much reluctant to kind of start with industrial digitalization and Industry 4.0, now they are approaching us like they want to do it because now COVID-19 actually brought up a clear message like that kind of wonders can come again and again. So if that kind of a situation comes again, so industry wants to actually prepare themselves for some sort of remote, that's what Industry 4.0 and industrial digitalization is offering. Like you don't need to sit on the floor and do everything. Like automation for every single machinery, automation for whole plant, automation that give you insights of each and every equipment running in there. So that's now I think industry is looking for, and now industry started realizing that this is something they can't.
It's the value they've realized. See, they already had the technology, so the PLCs were already there. They weren't missing. See, so now they've realized that okay, we need to have a backup plan, because see, what's happened is you could have purchased the fire extinguisher before the fire, but now what's happened after COVID-19 is, they realize they have a fire, but they don't have the fire extinguisher. And that's what it's kind of, which is ironic, where especially people like you and me who've been trying to convince the industry, hey, you need to get on board or at least have a plan of where you want to go. And that also is a big factor where people don't have a plan. The senior management or middle management, they don't have a plan of where they want to be in the next 5 years with respect to data collection or monitoring or factory 4.0 or whatever you want to call it, smart factory. Most industries don't have a plan. Those that do, or those that have attempted, in our case before the COVID-19, the people who reached out were mostly people who had who had, let's say, let's call them multinationals for now. I can't name people, but multinationals who had reached out to us were like, okay, we've had from our European headquarters, we've been asked to do an Industry 4.0 project or a robotics project or something like that. So what are your ideas? So they're just collecting ideas of what they can do. And what I keep telling them again and again is, you need an architecture. You don't build a house without an architect and without a plan or without maps, right? And that's what people need to have, is a step-by-step plan of what's the final goal and where they want to, what's the step-by-step goal to achieve that.
It was really nice talking to you, and I want to come up with more sessions with you on different topics, and would like to appreciate for your time, the way you actually spare your time. And this is some sort of a motivation for freshers who are actually doesn't depend only in Pakistan, wherever they are. And this would be some sort of a motivation, what industry is looking for and where industry is heading towards, especially after COVID-19. What are the top trends? What are the top jobs that industry would be looking for? So it's really a good session. Thank you for your time again, and appreciate your presence today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.